Well, welcome back to another edition, and I have a treat for everybody today. We have Bari Tessler, who's appeared on the podcast before. She's actually our frequent interviewee. We don't do too many interviews on the podcast, and that's very selfish. The reason that we don't is it takes more time to arrange an interview, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm just talking to myself, I can just say, I feel like talking to myself. I think I'll do a podcast. So that's kind of how we roll here. So I don't think Bari needs a lot of introduction. You can listen to her story in the first two podcasts that we've done. I don't know, I was thinking last night whether to refer to you as the mother of financial therapy or the grandmother of financial therapy. And I think mother is more appropriate.
I think I'm more mother than grandmother, even though, at 54, I have friends that are grandmas, right? But I'm in my 50s. So there are some grandmothers, they weren't calling it financial therapy, but they were doing related work, similar work. They definitely set the path for us, for me. So I think I'm more mother, and I'm, mother of a teenager. So I'm still mother, even though I'm, in my 50s. Yeah.
Yeah. And I put you at 53. So I was a step behind. And I was also thinking, but it was so long ago. I mean, you were like one of, if not the first, you came up with the term. And of course, we know it wasn't you specifically, it was your husband. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, we'll credit it to you. It's
I'm the one doing the work, but he's an incredible namer and he needs to get credit and honor for that. And he was the one when I put it all up on white paper and on the wall and was like, this is what I'm doing. And here are the 3 phases. And, he was like, oh, that's financial therapy. You're a financial therapist. Yes. Yes.
so, so you have blazed quite a trail in the financial therapy world. And I am just curious, what are you up to? What's new? What's exciting?
Yeah. What's new and exciting is a mentor program that I finally launched and taught last year for the founding member round. And I'm doing it now for the second round. And I'll do it one more time for the third round this year. And it's a program that I've been trying to do and trying to get myself to do for years. Because for years, students in my year-long program, and now I'm referring to that as my year-long program is for lay folks. And I don't know if I love that term, but that's what we're using. And of course, there's therapists and coaches and financial professionals in there, right? But my mentor program is for therapists, coaches, and financial professionals. And these folks have been asking me for years to do some kind of specialized program. They were asking me even for certification. And I kept researching certification over and over and over and getting to the end of that road and coming to a big no for so many reasons we could talk about. But it finally happened. I thought I would do it when I turned 50, and then it just didn't happen. I wasn't ready. And it was when I turned 53. So last year, I I I was finally ready. And I have a dear friend, Danielle Cohen. She was my photographer. She is my photographer still. She did my book cover. She did a magazine that I was on the cover of, all my website stuff. I met her because I hired her as my photographer, and she's become one of my closest, dearest friends, and our families are friends. And her and I do a little mini mastermind. I don't know. We don't call it that. We meet as often as we can to talk about our businesses and what's going on and what's working, what's not. And she helped me craft this. And it's 4 months and it's 16 Zoom calls. So we meet weekly and we have different topics. And there's 3 main goals. The first goal is to have a safe space for therapists and coaches and financial professionals to do their own money work. So the therapist needs a therapist. The bookkeeper needs a bookkeeper. We need to be doing our own work in a safe space. And I'm starting to replace safe with brave, with a brave and courageous space. So that's number one, right? Is to, have a safe space, a brave space to be doing your own money work, looking at your own money emotions, stories, learning what's coming up for you, your edges, your strengths, your challenges, all of that, right? Right. And knowing that we all have our money stuff, even if we're therapists, coaches, and financial planners, we all have our money strengths, we all have our money challenges, we all have our money stories to work through. So that's number one. Number two is to learn more tools. Money tools, both emotional, psychological money tools, somatic money tools, and practical money tools to bring back to your existing clients, right? So that's number two, is to learn more tools, learn new tools. I love giving tools and practices, right? My books are filled with them. So that's number two. And number three is to support folks to create a more healthy and sustainable practice or business. Setting up the foundation, whether that's getting clear about your pricing, getting clear about your services, your business models, learn how to make good money decisions based on time, energy, money, family, health, all of that. So those are the three things. Those are the three goals of the mentor program. And that's what I did the first round. And it was so interesting because the first round, my goal was 20 people and I got 40. And then for the second round, I was like, oh, well, my goal is still 20, but I'll get 40 because I got 40 and I wound up getting 17. And it's teaching me that I really like a smaller group a little better. I mean, 40 was wonderful. I have, mentor guides that help, and there's a few guest teachers. You came in the first round. You were one of our mentor teachers. I switch it up each round. But I'm realizing with this second group that it's smaller and more intimate. And so I'm getting to know everyone. We're just the first month in, but I'm getting to know everyone well. And I'm really enjoying it. So this is the evolution of my work, the year-long program for lay folks. It's the foundation. It teaches you my whole methodology and the tools and the three phases: money healing, money practices, money maps. But this mentor program is for other colleagues and professionals to get access to me. The biggest thing that I'm learning a lot, but one of the things I'm learning is that one of the benefits of this smaller group is that everyone gets to learn from each other, and everyone gets to watch me model and mentor, teaching, leading a group, working with folks individually. And that's really where a lot of the learning is, because each week we have a different theme. And it's basically, I'm saying, we're going deeper in all the themes that are in the year long or that are in my books. And, 1 week is money emotions. 1 week is financial identity. 1 week is somatic tools and trauma informed work. Every week it's different, but I, tell a story. I give a little teaching, and then I open it up and I'm like, who is brave today? Who wants to ask a question based on an issue or something that you're working on personally? We start there. And then whenever I bring in a guest teacher, I'm like, okay, you can ask questions for your own stuff that's coming up and also for your clients. But I'm hearing that a lot of the learning is happening through me teaching and me getting to mentor and do it live in that way. And unlike you, who can record tons of podcast, audios by yourself alone, and be happy as a clam, I can do that for, I don't know, I can talk to myself for a little bit, but I really need interaction and engagement and students and mentees. And I love the live questions and the call and response of that and supporting people live in the moment. And I'm supporting them. I'm also giving larger perspective and teaching so they all get to see and watch and learn from.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot to unpack.
Okay. Well, let me give you some credit before we unpack that. I mean, Rick, you and I have known each other, I don't even know, 18 years, 19 years, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you just have been such a support person for me from day one. I felt like you saw me, you got me. There was just love, like, and support. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that we've been able to continue interviewing each other and bringing each other in and collaborating for so many years.
Yeah. Yeah. It all started with a cartwheel, which I have to go back to a former discussion to understand that.
Yeah, it all started with a cartwheel. Me doing the cartwheel.
Yeah, it wasn't me. That would not be pretty. Oh man, Barry, you just said so much. And it's so cool to watch the progression of your work. And it just resonates so much with what you said. Um, and just to address a little bit, I don't know if we talked about this or I told you this before, but yes, I talk to myself a lot. And I've learned to do that in the pandemic, right? I mean, I've spoken to conferences and all I'm looking at is me. And there's maybe a few hundred people there. And so I've gotten used to that. And my wife is like, who are you talking to in there? You're just laughing and sounds like you're having a good time. And I had one of my associates said, listen to this, Rick. And she turns on a podcast. Do you hear yourself laughing at your own jokes? I said, what else am I going to do? Anyway, okay, so the one thing that you said, Barry, really strikes me, and that's the power of group.
Yeah.
And I guess that's on my mind because I've spoken 8 or 9 times to the American Group Psychotherapy Association. And you can get a whole degree in mental health around group, how to lead the dynamics of group. Group is how I was raised in the mental health field, raised in therapy, raised in recovery. I did group for on and off for 25 years. And it was more of a psychotherapy oriented group. Okay. And that's the only type of therapy I thought existed because I hated one-on-one, and to me it's worthless. So I don't feel that way anymore. But there is such power. And when you said that they learn from each other,
yeah,
that is so true.
Yeah.
Because as you said, when you're working with one person, you're working with everybody in the group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or I'm working with, or they're getting to see someone who's like their mom or their sister or their brother, right? Or their partner. Yeah. Yeah.
Group affords so many things you can't do. Like with this group that I'm going to speak to soon of the group therapists, I do this real money exercise. Well, you can't do that one-on-one very easily. There's just some things that lend themselves to a group.
Yeah.
So I think that's a brilliant way to bring doing your own work.
Yes.
I think
and you know
that's more powerful than just reading it in the book or even doing one-on-ones.
Yeah. I mean, I've done groups from day one, so 21 years ago, when I started teaching my methodology in little groups of 10 people, it was a group. I would occasionally take on some private clients, or over the years, I'll open up 10 slots, be like, I have 10 slots. And, mostly women and some couples sign up for that. And every once in a while, I'll get one guy, but I've done groups from day one for so many reasons. One, they're more affordable. Two, they're more affordable and more accessible.
Yes.
Right. They are.
Yep.
Right. and they're more accessible and more affordable. And then they give the host, the teacher, the facilitator more money. So it's this win-win. It's more affordable for the community, and then you get more per hourly rate, you know. So that was part of why I did it at the beginning. It was all those reasons: more accessible, more income for me, and that we just learn to unshame, you know, in groups by seeing other people, by saying I'm not alone, by seeing mother, father, sister in other people, all of that, you know. And so I've been groups. Now they're not psychotherapy groups, right? So they're more group coaching and education. And if someone's having like a really big reaction to me, which they don't usually bring to me, we have, clear community guidelines, like go bring this to your therapist. If transference is happening, go bring it to your therapist or your friend to talk it through. Occasionally my team will hear them out, like what's going on. That's really unusual, right?
Right.
But I'm not really doing interpersonal dynamics, like, oh, I'm triggered by you in the group.
Right.
Let's work that out. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I'm more working on them individually, and then they're all learning from each other and supporting each other. So there's a lot of support happening, some feedback, there's cross-pollination with the different groups. So at some point I was like, oh, I'm just going to do therapists, or I'm just going to do financial professionals, right? And then I realized, wait, we all need to be in the room learning from each other. We all have strengths, we all have challenges, we all have missing pieces. And the therapist wants the bookkeeping trainer, or financial coach in the room. Maybe they'll work together, or they'll refer clients to each other. Or so there's also the cross-pollination of these. But it was so hard for me to figure this out. Like I was like, it has to be certification. Then I realized I don't want to oversee people in that intimate of a way where they're using my name, they're under my umbrella. Like, me, I don't like to be under any umbrella. So why would I, right? I mean, I chose to get a master's degree, jump through all the hoops of internship, 150-page thesis. And then when they were talking licensure, I was like, no, I'm not going to, no. And then similar to, I was doing my work for many years, and then the Financial Therapy Association came to be. And while I refer to them, as a like, go, in the back of my book, or go study with them, I'm not under their umbrella. I don't want to be under anyone's umbrella, So why would I create an umbrella for other people to be under, and yeah, I just got really clear, these three groups, and they're all different, and there's also healers in there. There's some folks that come in and are under that category and want to be a part of this training too, because money conversations are coming up with their clients so much, when they're doing chiropractic work and body work, or when they're leading retreats, so yeah.
Yeah, again, so much to say. And as you were talking about the group, it's more affordable by the attendee. It's more profitable for the leader, which I'm really glad that you brought out in very much Bari style, because I'm thinking, I wonder if I should bring that out or not. And also, in many ways, a really rich learning environment because of the dynamic of group, because of being exposed, a therapist being exposed to a financial planner and how they think, and a planner to a therapist, or a therapist to a coach, or all of these different points of view, which is so enriching in itself, and something that one individual can't bring, right?
Yeah.
But a group of 10 or 15 or 20 can. And I just look at that, and it's just like, I think this is a huge win-win way of delivering, doing your own work.
Yes, and let me clarify that a little bit more. And number one, when I first started my groups, I think I was charging $150, for a group for 6 weeks. and then it grew to 200 and 300, and right. So yeah, it was way more affordable back in the day. My year-long program
Charge
is
$150 for 6 weeks?
yep, yep.
Wow. How did I
This
miss that bargain?
totally. This was 21 years ago, right? When I was living in a little shack in an apple orchard, right? And it's still very much a hippie, and I was just starting out and just experimenting. I didn't want to offer them for free, like as a beta testing. I wanted to charge something, so I started out with that. So then it was obviously way more accessible and affordable. My year-long program is still a low price point. Now, it's accessible for a lot of people. It's all relative. There's still going to be people where it's not accessible to, but we have a buddy discount. So that program is still more affordable to do in group. My mentor program is more money, right? It's 3,500 for a 4-month program, or if you're an alumni of the program, it's $3,000. If you're not an alumni, you've never taken my program, it's 3,500, and you get all my content from my program, all my 12 modules, my whole library, everything, right? So I just want to give a little more context to it, right? And I have different price points at different levels so that it can serve different people in the community, right? Who are at different income levels.
Right. And for a professional, I mean, they're getting a twofer here. And one is doing their own work.
Yep.
And the other one is a professional benefit.
Yes. Yeah, it's a write-off. It's it's a tax deduction. Yes. I will raise the price at some point again. I've been incrementally raising it. But while I'm still exploring it all, even though I feel like I got it on the second round, yeah, it's both personal work and professional work.
Yeah. Yes. And that's I've preached this to planners when did I first do the research? In 2008, that when a financial planner hires a planner and pays a planner to do planning for themselves, it's a twofer. Not only are they getting personal financial planning, but they're also getting a chance to get on the inside of somebody else's practice.
Yes.
And see how they do that.
Yes.
And to a planner can be a benefit saying, I like that. That's why I don't do that. But it's hugely beneficial.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And another piece of this is that you have to get really clear. And I had to get really clear on what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I've been doing that for years, right? So when I thought of doing the certification, it was like, oh, I'm going to train people and they're going to have to meet certain requirements. I'm going to have to do a checklist and they're going to have to be proficient in this and that and so on and come back to me. And then every year they're going to have to renew that. And I'm going to have to, just more overseeing. And I was like, I think I would be horrible at that, and I'm not academic and not theoretical in any way, as you know. So I'm so experiential. And, I've been at this for so long and there's so many themes related to this. And I could teach for hours and work with people for hours. So I was like, it has to be a mentor program, more of a mentor mastermind. Someone called it a financial therapy, a private financial therapy mastermind or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We haven't hit on exactly what it is, but if you're going to do a training like this, you have to use your skill set, your native genius, and know what you do well and know what you suck at.
Well, you probably made a very good decision in foregoing the certification. I remember when I was part of this group that we called ourselves the Pioneers. And Dick Wagner was part of it, and Elizabeth Chaton and Gail Coleman, etc. And we grappled with that for 3 years on how can you come up with a guild or some stamp that says this person has done their own work.
Right.
And we went back and forth. And I remember one finding out of all of this discussion came to be absolutely no certification.
Okay, let's talk about that. And first I want to show you there's a comedian who does an imitation of therapists. And they have all the layers of glasses and the layers of shawls. It's one of my favorite little routines that comedic does. Anyway, so let's talk about that, right? Because, at first I was also with my mentor program going to require that everyone do my year-long program, right? And then I decided not to. And the first run, it was like half and half. People had already been through the year-long. The other half who hadn't. They had read my book, right? This second group is 3/4 new people. They read my book like just in the last few months. They never took my year-long program. But what I'm getting at is that even folks, if I had required folks to take my year-long program and to go through that, everyone does that differently. Everyone does that in their own way. There's no grade at the end. There's no checklist. There's no, oh, you did all 12 modules in the year. You did every exercise. Oh, you did your own work and, are at a level where you're now proficient what? And, what is that proficiency? And so, right. It's knowing yourself well, right? Yes, there could be markers, doing your own money work, knowing your triggers, knowing your patterns, making changes, unraveling a lot of them, having a bookkeeping system in place, knowing your numbers, knowing how to make good money decisions. Like we could, but it's also ongoing. And I couldn't give someone a grade or an evaluation for how far did you get in my year-long program. Everyone begins and ends at different places, depending on, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that would be a great topic to continue if you've got the time.
I do.
All right. So thanks for joining us on this segment, and join us again next week. And we'll pick up right where we've left off, because that's exactly what we're going to do.